So a year ago, I put out an album called I Love Getting Dumped. It's 13 songs. They're all breakup songs that I wrote over the course of like 4 years, spanning different relationships and situationships. Um, and whether I realized it or not, I think was also partially documenting my emotional relationship trauma healing journey. And kind of also spanned a time before I started transitioning to like right up to when I was like, okay, I'm starting testosterone, and I'm definitely making an appointment to get top surgery. So there's a little bit of gender exploration in that too. And a lot of my feelings about this entire release have changed between a year ago and today. And basically, what I want to say is, I was wrong. You were all valid for breaking up with me, probably. When I first announced that album release, describing this concept that it's 13 different breakup songs from, over the course of 4 years, many different relationships, many different breakups. And some wise ass commented something along the lines of like, well, if all your relationships ended in you getting dumped, sounds like you were the problem. And I saved that comment for a while because I really wanted to reply to it, either being a funny wise ass back, but I never thought of anything to say, or to explore the concept of me being the problem. Now, side note here, relationships are a lot more nuanced than me being the problem or the other person solely being the problem. These are concepts that I think can be very useful to explore in songwriting or making art or just generally venting about relationships. Exploring a phase of being very sad and feeling like you were personally victimized by your ex or Regina George, or being really angry and feeling like this person wasted your time and you just wish the most emotional turmoil on them to match what you're going through. But I feel like in the last year, I have really swung from one side of the pendulum to the other, and I really want to try and find a comfortable, grounded middle ground. The place I was in when I wrote some of these songs was that of feeling like I was relinquishing total control of my emotions to another person, and my entire sense of self and my entire self-worth and confidence was wrapped up in, is this person attracted to me? Do they want to give me some of their time? Will they validate me? Do I have their approval? And when I wasn't getting those things, feeling very personally wronged. So where I felt like I was a year ago was like what I wrote in my notes. With this album, I really wanted to lean into my feelings. And instead of telling myself, I deserve to feel this crappy, it's stupid that I even have such heightened emotions around relationships, I wish I could be chill, really leaning into and validating my feelings and the fact that I'm a deeply emotional person. If I can't have love, I at least want my former hurt self to feel like there's someone going to bat for them, even if that someone is just older me. And in many ways, that was my goal for putting out the album. I just wanted to put that past to bed and make my younger self feel heard, and then like in turn hopefully make other people, wherever they may be in the course of healing from a breakup or going through something, feel like there's music out there for them that like validates the spectrum of emotions that the end of a relationship can bring. But now a year later, I think I've swung to the opposite side of the pendulum and started to turn on myself and belittle myself and feel like, oh, I was just crazy back then. That's so cringe and embarrassing that I made so much music about my exes and I was so sad and I gave them so much emotional power over me. I don't have any feelings now. I would never make music like that now. More important things to be talking about than my feelings. But that's not very nice of me. So my goal with this video is to let these multiple truths coexist. Sometimes I might feel like the things that I've made in the past are a little bit cringe, and it's uncomfortable for me to acknowledge the way that I felt a couple of years ago and the way I thought about myself. and also the way that I looked and sounded. Let's be honest. Part of the reason I'm like, oh my god, some of these songs slap. I don't like hearing my old singing voice. So what I have done is I have notes. Wait, do I need to do the thing where I put my hand in front of it like an influencer or something? Yeah. I made notes called Where I Was Wrong. So I sat down and I wrote a little bit about each song on the album, looking at it from a new perspective, trying to merge my old "how could you do this to me" brain with my new "God, I was so cringe. I was completely in the wrong. All of my exes were right for breaking up with me. I really was the problem." And coming together in perfect harmony. In perfect four-part harmony. A great way to start. Before I begin, I just want to thank the sponsors of this video. This rock on my desk. This fidget toy. And my cats, Benny and Walter. The first song on the album is called Your Mom Is Disappointed in You. I'll probably splice in a section of the song that I want to talk about. Constantly entertain, stimulate all your boyish wants. I can see. First things first, I think this song still bangs. It is okay to not want to be in a relationship. It is okay to want a simple life of entertainment. And he was right, we were not a good match. But looking back on that time of my life and relationships, why was I begging for somebody who was like, I actually just think I want to like date around casually and I don't think we're good for each other. You're really serious about this. I'm not that invested. And I was like, no, we can make it work. How could you do this? Dude, I don't blame you for not wanting to be in a relationship. Legolas. Science fiction and the proper medication. I was just being very self-deprecating here. And I apologize for that, because I have a whole other song about how much I don't like self-deprecating humor. Engaging in escapism is not a crime, though it definitely can be concerning. So this song was written at two different times, about two different relationships. The chorus was written at one point, then the verses and everything else was written about a different relationship. The title came later. It's a song about escapism and feeling like the person you are close with and desire to be closer with is pulling away. I think it's valid for somebody to be in like the position I was in and be like, wow, this really sucks. I wish you would open up to me. Both relationships, there were moments of me feeling like I was functioning as character development. That was something temporary and entertaining and a nice distraction until I no longer had any use. But these are life experiences that we all go through, and they were character development for me too. But that's where I feel like I was wrong there. Nobody owes anybody else an explanation of their trauma. Nobody owes anybody else a level of closeness that the other person may want. I think both of those relationships I wrote about moved way too fast. And I think a lot of my perception of what closeness meant came from the idea of trauma dumping to somebody and giving somebody a really deep inside look into things that have hurt me so I could see that they would not turn around and hurt me again. That's not how you build trust necessarily. I think that is a piece, obviously, of like getting close to people, but you can't do that. That doesn't happen within the course of a couple of months. And you can't force somebody to be ready to open up about what they're going through. And it might suck. It might be a sucky feeling. And I think I was allowed to be like, this is a sucky feeling. But it doesn't make anybody, and it does not make the people I was in relationships with like bad people or bad partners for not being ready to like open up to the level of intimacy that I felt I was ready for. All right, bullying myself. No notes, perfect song. Still relate, just recently in different ways. I mean, this isn't even really a song about a specific person or feeling like anybody wronged me. This is more how I twist the narratives of my relationships and how people perceive me to be this very self-fulfilling negative prophecy. And I'm still struggling with that in new and different ways. It's just so easy to have a voice in the back of my head that's going like, they don't even like you. Or, you know, these days, everybody can tell that your facial hair is dyed with just for men beard dye. Can you tell? I actually think it looks pretty good. I would really like to re-record it with my voice. No. Throw me out a window. Wow. Here's the thing with this song. I'm going back to referring to my notes. So I literally wrote the first line, throw me out a window. I think I overestimated the size of my place in your heart. About a situationship of sorts, posting like a happy birthday post for their partner, their like long-term partner. And like some piece of me took this so personally. Like I wrote like a warning sign that I was going to be abandoned is how I took it. Like of course I knew, I'm like, this has nothing to do with me. But that initial like twinge in my stomach when I was like, oh, you love them. You don't love me. You love this person. I'm not that level to you, and I wish I was. I don't think that's an invalid thing to feel. So this is another song that I wrote about multiple relationships, and the absolutely buck wild things that some exes have said to me that have just been so revealing. Like the two lines before each pre-chorus. Remember what you said to me. Don't go and get addicted to validation from me. What was said to me verbatim was like, I just don't want you to get addicted to validation from me. Which is, to be fair, an insane thing to say to somebody. Nonetheless, after making them watch Rick and Morty with you at 4 a.m, what was I doing? But in fairness, okay, I would not say I was addicted to validation from this person. Was I in a place where I was really struggling with a deep-seated desire for a validation from people that I like admired? Yeah. I also don't think that that's like really weird of me. And I think it was a rude thing to say while you were like trying to get it on after watching Rick and Morty. Whatever. It's all in the past. I think it's a funny story. But the real point of the song is that the bass sounds fucking sick. The Yellows. Don't try and start a relationship with somebody while they're going through an active mental health crisis. And if they tell you that they don't have the capacity to be in a relationship right now, walk away. Let them take their time to heal. I mean, this person was also like overpromising a bunch of stuff and blatantly lying to me about a lot of things. But why did I not take a step back when they were honest about where they were at? It's because it was still during COVID lockdown and I had absolutely nothing else going on. And I liked this person. I mean, to be fair, you know, I talk my shit, but of course I was hurt about all of these things because I liked these people. I hope you feel terrible. I hope you feel. Let's acknowledge the nuance here that this song is supposed to be focusing on leaning into that vengeful feeling, the anger portion of a breakup. I do think there's a level of self-awareness in that song already that I hope comes across. But I know I give a very abridged version of what happened in the first verse of the song, where I'm just like, I guess my novelty wore off, and so you're done with me. You know, you pulled me out of my sadness and then you left me. But I also wanted this song to function as like a bare bones tale of a breakup. Where it's like, yes, this song is was inspired based on true events. But also functions as like a story. I mean, you watch like a Hallmark movie and like it's really basic shape and form and very unrealistic and intense because it's a movie. I also have quite a few thoughts on the way that we flatten, I guess, just media. The way we flatten media in the content era. Because with this song and with my promotion for it, of course I really leaned in to being like, take the high road, be the bigger person, move on. No. I hope you feel terrible. Of course, I'm like, I was like leaning into it, but people were like, this is actually such a horrible attitude to have in relationships, and that person dodged a bullet by by dumping you. You didn't even deserve them. And it's like, man, this is a song. What I wrote in my little blurb was, I also wanted this song to function as a bare bones story about a breakup, boiling it down to hopefully the most relatable feelings. Like, I guess my novelty just wore off then. Oh, I guess that's what it is. It's how I felt. I wanted this person to feel what I was feeling. I wanted them to understand exactly what I was going through. I don't hope they feel terrible anymore. Track 7, Lost and. Did the guy I wrote this about? I'm sorry. But the song is a banger and I would not take it back. I feel a sense of shame in how I reacted to the breakup that this song is about. I get why I did, but it makes me physically cringe to think about the way I was feeling and thus the way I reacted and some of the things that I said. Especially now that I'm in a place where I feel like I finally understand some of the things that I think this person was going through in terms of feeling lost and feeling internally disconnected. My friend said it's the monkey's paw kind of thing. You wish for something, but be careful what you wish for because you might get it in a way that you don't actually want, but something in the universe is trying to teach you something. What I think I'm learning lately is a new sense of empathy. So what I want to apologize for is feeling like I want to apologize for this sort of like blame I put on this person in this song. I was feeling very blameful at this time. This was my longest term relationship, and I really thought it was going to be longer lasting. I now understand why that didn't need to be. But I also still have empathy for my past self that I felt like the rug was pulled out from under me and I wanted to destroy. I was clingy. That's where I was wrong. When that commenter said maybe I was the problem, one of the first things that I thought about was this era of my life. I can't imagine maintaining the level of back and forth all day texting communication that I used to have with people I dated. I would not be able to do that now. I get why it didn't work out. I'm sorry I was so intense. I'd like to think that if we met each other at a different time, we would be great friends. And I miss your friendship. Not that I think this person's watching this. I don't think we'll ever see each other again. I still think the song is a banger. Unfortunately. This song was more about me fantasizing about a friend that I wished things would go somewhere with, but they could not go anywhere. And you know why? Because I didn't tell them I had feelings. Like, I don't know. I thought I did. I was so scared to say anything. I was like, the world will explode if I say the words, I have feelings for you. I think I said something like, I want you to know that you have a very special place in my heart. Like, what is that? What does that mean? That's so ambiguous. I also, looking back, I can imagine that this person probably could sense my intensity. It was so soon after another breakup that I realized I also have feelings for this friend, and maybe I won't be alone forever, and this is so magical, and we're in New York City, and love is real. I think that intensity was probably palpable, and I absolutely cannot blame somebody for being like, yo, I can't do this. I was at a point where I was way too uncomfortable to sit with my feelings. It didn't even feel like an option to not seek out flirtation or intimacy or something with somebody else. I was so wrapped up in my last breakup and feeling like my world was crushed. And I didn't want to sit with my feelings. I wanted to drown myself in limerence. I wanted to drown myself in limerence, and all it got me was this stupid song. Anyway, go to therapy if that's the kind of thing that works for you. Top 5 most emotional people in Western New York. First things first, most important part of this song is that it's a banger and it's wild and weird. And it was the first time I'd ever written anything like this, and I stand by it being a cool piece of music. Well, I do for most of the music on this album. I think all of the music is cool. When I wrote this, it was also during lockdown. It was like winter 2021 or something. There was nothing. The person I was involved with had been ghosting me for a little while, and it was for serious reasons. But I had no idea what was going on, and it was very scary. But I knew it was okay. I knew like they were like not in an immediate danger situation, but they just flat out left the conversation. Like we'd been going back and forth like normal. And then nothing. And I felt like I was spending all of my days just waiting to potentially hear back from them, and it was a horrible feeling. Probably whatever they were feeling, though, was also pretty horrible. It's not one person is the victim and one person is the evildoer. We were both going through stuff. But I was going stir crazy. I was going absolutely nuts, and I felt really angry. The most of the duration of this like situationship, I guess, for lack of a better term, held a lot of like sympathy, I guess, during this situationship, and did not feel like I was entitled to be angry. But I started to realize ways I was like being lied to, and that made me feel nuts. So I wrote an angry song about it. So I think we were both feeling very shitty. But I feel like I was, not to say that I feel like I was in the wrong, but I don't feel like I was necessarily in the right to take somebody else's mental health issues personally. If somebody tells you they're not doing well, or they're not up to the task of like communication that is this frequent, for your, obviously for their sake, but also for your sanity, take that in. Like, believe that. I think there was a piece of me that felt like, well, if I was hot enough, I could just make they would just snap out of it. I'm just not good enough. If I was like hotter and more interesting and chiller and better, they would. It's the whole like, if he wanted to, he would. I was like, if he really liked me, if I wasn't, some disposable piece of trash, he would just be so enthralled with this relationship that he wouldn't even be able to like focus on. Like, I know that's not true. Like, I know that's not what was going on. But that's where like my mental health issues were coming into play, and that's something that I had to work on. I'm sorry about that, but I'm also not fully sorry. I don't regret making music about it, but like, I would never put myself in that position again, knowing fully what was going on. And you don't have to do that either. Still be friends.
Oh, I know I just broke your heart. Nobody's done before, but I hope that we can still be friends.
Sometimes people mean it when they say they want a friendship with their ex. But I do think that my sarcastic take on the whole, let's still be friends so I don't have to feel like a jerk, breakup spiel was on the money. This was not like even about any one particular person, more of just an amalgamation of a lot of conversations I felt like I had had. Just the, somebody sits me down and they're like, look, you are the coolest, smartest, funniest, hottest person I've ever dated. But I don't like you. To be fair, when that happens, relationship after relationship, that will make a person start to feel a little bit out of their mind. I had a very hard time not taking these things personally. I probably, to an extent, would still have a hard time with it. Who wouldn't? Or people. It's just a reality that sometimes you can get into a relationship with certain levels of intimacy, and then things change, or your feelings change, or your circumstances change, and something else takes priority where you are just not up for a relationship. I know this because I feel that way now. And I think there can be great. I don't think people are always bullshitting each other when they say to somebody that they're close with, I want to still be friends. I want a friendship with you. You are important to me. I want you in my life. I am friends with several people that I was in relationships with because I have great taste. But to be fair, it is crazy making to experience somebody saying to you that they value you as a friend and they want you around and they think so highly of you, but to be shown that somebody is only willing to put in um, the effort, the extra amount of like attention to be a friend to somebody, when you see that they will only do that for people that they are also sleeping with, it will make you feel like you only have value if somebody is physically attracted to you. This is because we often only put value on people we are physically attracted to you to in this society. I'm not pretty. Banger, perfect song, no notes. No, I mean, it was about a friend that I developed a crush on really fast. We couldn't have been together. It wouldn't have made sense. I don't think I even wanted a relationship with this person. I just, sometimes you develop a crush on your friend, and it's hard to watch them have feelings for somebody else or just interest in somebody else. I was already at a point where I was feeling really undesirable and really disposable, and getting attention from somebody made me feel like I was lit up inside. But I was being so self-deprecating when I wrote this, and I knew that. The day I wrote this song, it was still winter pandemic. There was I didn't do anything. Like I would like write music and like make TikToks, and like talk to this person. And I remember it was like one of the most dismal days in January. I felt like I had not seen the sun for a month. I probably hadn't. And I went for a long walk in the cold. And I literally just like dragged my feet and moped around town. And then I came back and I wrote this in one sitting. And I think it's a beautiful song. What did I want this person to do? Be like, I'm in love with you and we should be together. Not realistic, wouldn't have actually been helpful in that situation. It was not what either of us would have needed at that point in our lives. Although I think this song could also just be one of those songs that's like not exactly a diary entry, more of like a time capsule of the way I was feeling that day. Something that just encapsulates that feeling of like longing for somebody and watching them talk to somebody else, and they have a crush on that person. You're watching them be flirty. Okay. I guess I didn't really do anything wrong here. It's a song about finding resilience in a period of feeling like you're just like staring into the void after a breakup. Just like, I don't know how I will ever not feel completely miserable, but I know it'll happen. And I was right. I'm literally fine. Okay, I'm breaking up with you. This is the song that I feel I need to like repent for the most. I know that I know the like lore behind this song, and that like the list of all of the things in the verses that I'm like, these are the reasons I'm actually breaking up with you, um, are kind of like a reach. You know, like I know, and I knew when constructing this that it's like, even though this song is an attempt to like, I don't know, like clap back or whatever and just be like, actually, you can't fire me, I quit. Um, even though it is intended to be like empowering and like, actually, wait, you suck. It's still, you still can't avoid the reality that I was not ready for this relationship to end. I did not see many flaws that would have resulted in me wanting to organically end things. Um, so like, I know that there is this like underneath layer of like, try as I may to artificially get myself to this like, I'm actually like a badass in my single era, I don't need you point of healing. Um, Healing is still not a linear thing, and I still knew that I was coming to it from a place of seeing that relationship as like perfect, and I had like no complaints. Um, because like what I feel really bad about is like, I feel like the way that this song comes off to people who don't know is like, damn, like you're mad at them for having insecurities and trauma and being uncomfortable with their appearance in selfies and not giving you head. I sound like the doofus dudes that I write about. The only valid critique here is you never asked if I was cool with you being back on Tinder. I do still think that was a little weird. I do still think it was a little bit weird. It was a little weird to find out, like, to find out from a friend who saw my ex on Tinder and was like, "Aren't you dating this person?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah." If you're gonna go on the dating app to find new friends, you should probably tell your partner that you're doing that so you don't freak them out. And also, you should put it in your profiles that you are dating somebody and you are just looking for friends. Unless you're cheating on that person, in which case, don't do this at all. I think the sentiment of this song is cool. I think it was a really, I think it was a helpful step for me getting over the relationship. And instead of lamenting over um, how perfect I thought the whole relationship was and how I was like, wow, this person got everything they wanted and I got nothing, I, you know, I needed to get out of that black and white way of thinking. Um, and I think just the premise of like, you broke up with me first, but now I'm doing it too. I think that's fine. But this song is really fun. Like really fun to perform live, and we did it on tour this summer, and I was like, this feels really good to sing now. Like just in my new vocal range now. It was really Nine Inch Nails inspired, and like I'm able to sing like that more now than I was when I recorded the song originally. So it was so fun to do live, but I felt so uncomfortable and cringy and guilty singing some of these lyrics. But I guess the middle ground here is that it's like what I say, when people are like, wow, you sound like a jerk, like that person was actually so smart for breaking up with you. Saying, I hope you feel terrible, or saying, you never opened up about what happened with your mom and that's why you want to break up with them. Saying it's so annoying how you hate your own reflection is a reason to break up with somebody. No, it's not. That's so mean. I know. um, it's a combination of leaning into the truth of like an actual thing that happened, and, being like, darn, that was annoying, but also being like, okay, now removing it from me. Now these are characters in a story, and I am going to write this story in order to work through something and hopefully provide value to people who are going through something similar like this later. Some ways, I feel like I was in the wrong releasing this song. I wish if I could, I have thought about rewriting the verse lyrics for when I perform it live. If I could kind of rewrite this, I would want to write about this concept of relationships. I would want to write something that's like a little bit more like heightened reality, and a little less like my reality. Um, I worry that this is the song that made this person stop being friends with me, and I don't blame them if it was. I feel like I sound like a jerk on this track. I feel like I was trying to allow myself to be a jerk in order to feel better and boost myself up. But that's not what I needed to do. What I needed to do was trans my gender. In conclusion, the verdict: no assholes here. Relationships and breakups are nuanced. I think I was justified in feeling upset after all these relationships or situationships or the things that were said to me or the way the breakups went. I understand why I crashed out as hard as I did, obviously. But it feels good now to be able to look back at my relationship history, and instead of looking at it like, wow, I was wronged by everybody, or wow, I actually wronged everybody, it's just like, people hurt each other. I'm not the victim of like my own life. Neither were any of the people that I dated. I learned a lot from these relationships. I learned a lot about myself and relationships in general. By and large, the best thing that I have done is put all this stuff, because this was a very big chunk of like my existence for all these years. I felt like every waking moment of my life was just passing the time, waiting to get to the juicy parts of life, which were being around a crush or kissing somebody who meant something to me. I think what I was experiencing was like BPD symptoms. A lot of gender dysphoria that I did not know was going on. Really wanting to be close to people in a way that I wanted to kind of closest to people, like I wanted to be able to become them. And I wonder why that is now. And also like anxiety and depression. Like, there was only so much that I could do in the middle of a pandemic. But bottom line is, nuance is valuable. Every situation is complicated, it's complex. It's not just my fault, it's not just their fault, and it's not just I was cringe for having feelings and I revoked that. And don't worry guys, I'm cool now. I'll never have feelings again. Now all the music I make is gonna be cool guy music. I mean, it will be, but I still have feelings, and I'm gonna keep having feelings for the rest of my life. And I think it's a mandatory part of being able to sit with yourself and live with yourself, to allow yourself to have those feelings and allow yourself to have those feelings pass and look back and be like, damn, I'm so glad I don't feel that way anymore, and it's okay that I felt that way then. Ultimately, I am glad I made this music. It is okay to have big feelings, and it is okay to make art about them. If you are one of my exes, I'm sorry. Some of you were jerks to me, but I kind of don't care anymore. Also, hi, I'm Boy Junior. I never fucking introduced myself. I forgot to say this at the beginning. Maybe I will stitch this back into the beginning, but hi, I'm Boy Junior. I am an independent songwriter and producer, and I guess multidisciplinary artist. Thank you.
Anxious attachment, avoid an attachment, fuck. Everything sucks. Anxious attachment, avoid an attachment. Anxious attachment, avoid an attachment. Anxious attachment.